You know, every single day there's a hidden war being fought right on our screens. It's a conflict with no borders, no front lines, fought with lines of code instead of bullets. What we're talking about is a relentless 30-year-long arms race between the people who build our digital world and those who are trying to tear it all down. To really get a handle on our digital lives today, we've got to understand how this whole thing started.
So, how did we get here? Well, the story really unfolds in three acts. It all starts back in the 1980s, when the internet was basically a small town, a trusting little community. Then, bam, 1988, the inciting incident. A single event that just shatters that trust for good, and that one moment throws us right into where we are today, a constant escalating arms race that pretty much defines our modern world.
All right, let's rewind all the way to the beginning. The early internet. It was built by this small club of researchers. Everybody knew everybody. It was all built on a foundation of trust. But as Tim Berners-Lee, the guy who invented the World Wide Web, would later say, that innocence was about to be completely wiped out.
This quote from Tim Berners-Lee just nails it, doesn't it? The internet went from this friendly little neighborhood to a place where you had to bolt your doors, practically overnight. That complacency he mentions, yeah, that was about to get shattered into a million pieces. Okay, so here's exactly what went down. On November 2nd, 1988, a grad student named Robert Morris lets a program loose. Now, it wasn't supposed to be malicious. It was actually an experiment designed to kind of map the size of the internet. But there was a bug in the code, a tiny mistake that caused it to copy itself way, way too fast. It spread by guessing common passwords and using a flaw in the email system. And within hours, it had infected about 10% of the entire internet, which back then was about 100,000 computers. It just ground everything to a halt. This was the internet's first massive wake-up call. The reaction was immediate, and it fundamentally changed how we approach security online. The age of leaving your doors unlocked was over. It was time to build some walls. The era of defensive cybersecurity had officially begun. And that defensive reaction gave birth to two foundational technologies that we all know today. First up, you've got firewalls. The easiest way to think of these are as the giant walls around a city. They decide what traffic is even allowed to approach the gates. Then you have antivirus software. These are the guards standing at the city gates inspecting everything the firewall lets through, and they're looking for the known digital fingerprints of bad guys. This whole strategy led to a security model that dominated the industry for decades. It's called hard shell, soft core. The idea was pretty simple. Build a really tough, impenetrable perimeter, the hard shell, and then just assume that everything and everyone inside that shell is safe and can be trusted. But you can probably spot the problem, right? If an attacker finds just one tiny crack in that shell, they have total freedom to roam around the soft, squishy, unprotected inside. And of course, the attackers, they didn't just give up. They adapted. They realized they didn't have to spend all their energy knocking down the walls if they could just figure out how to become invisible and sneak right past the guards. So this set up a fantastic cat-and-mouse game. The guards, the antivirus programs, are looking for a fixed fingerprint, a signature that never changes. So the attacker's new goal became brilliantly simple. What if we could make a weapon that changes its fingerprint every single time it moves? And this led to the invention of what's called polymorphic or shape-shifting malware. It works in 3 steps, and it's pretty genius. First, the main malicious code, the payload, gets encrypted, so it just looks like a bunch of random gibberish. Second, a mutation engine creates a totally new, unique piece of code just to decrypt it. So with every new infection, the encrypted payload is the same, but the decryptor, the part the antivirus actually sees, is brand new. The signature is never the same twice. This constant technical back and forth created a brand new reality. Cybersecurity wasn't just about writing code anymore. It had become a strategic and economic game, a battlefield of investment and rational choices. Which, brings up the central question for the entire field of modern cybersecurity. If this arms race is just going to go on forever, how do you even win? It's not about winning one battle, it's about managing a permanent state of conflict. This new reality forced a huge shift in how companies thought about spending their money. The old model was just asking, how much should I spend to protect my own stuff? That became dangerously out of date. Now it's a two-sided game. The much smarter question is, okay, my attacker has a budget and a goal just like me. Where are they going to spend their money to cause me the most damage for the least cost? You have to think like your enemy and invest strategically to make their best moves too expensive for them to even try.
And this whole economic chessboard led to a really radical new philosophy for defense. It was a complete paradigm shift, and it was born from a simple, humbling idea. Perfect prevention is impossible. You have to work from the assumption that the enemy is already inside the gates. So the philosophy moved us away from the impenetrable fortress model and toward the city with a police force model. Look, the walls are still important, for sure. But the main focus now is on having a police force inside the city, actively hunting for threats that have already made it past the walls. The game shifted from prevention to detection. So how do you do that? How do you police a digital city? Well, you use a technique called behavioral monitoring. Instead of looking for known bad fingerprints, this approach just learns what normal looks like on a network. It creates a baseline, and then it hunts for anomalies, anything that's weird. A login from a strange country at 3 a.m., a weird amount of data being sent to some random server. The goal isn't just to stop the final attack, but to detect the attacker's entire campaign before they can do any real damage. And that brings us right up to today, and the next great accelerant in this crazy arms race, artificial intelligence. And this is absolutely crucial to understand. AI is not the silver bullet that's going to end this war. Think of it more like pouring gasoline on the fire. It's the most powerful weapon yet, and it's a weapon both sides are using to massive effect.
For the defenders, AI can automate all that threat hunting we just talked about, spotting those tiny anomalies way faster than any human possibly could. But for the attackers, oh, it's a dream come true. AI can generate brand new shape-shifting malware all by itself, find new vulnerabilities in code, and craft perfectly convincing phishing emails tailored to every single victim, and do it at a scale of millions.
And the stakes here just keep getting higher and higher. The projected annual loss from cybercrime is estimated at a staggering $945 billion. To put that in perspective, that is nearly double what it was just a few years ago. This isn't some abstract fight. It has huge real-world consequences. So, after 30 years, this arms race is picking up speed like never before. And it leaves us with this one critical question. Is AI finally going to be the breakthrough that gives the defenders the permanent high ground? Or are we on the verge of a brand new kind of war, a high-speed conflict fought almost entirely by autonomous machines, with us humans just struggling to keep up? That is the question that's going to define the next chapter of this unending war.